Thank you, June. Now, we might not know exactly what the foreign super trawlers are taking in from our waters, but we certainly know that June Mummery is a great catch for reform. Now, I met our next speaker when we were both still... I first met our next speaker when we were both still members of the Conservatives, fighting hard to save Ian Duncan Smith from the momentum hordes descending on Chingford and Woodford Green in 2019. We won that battle, and we're going to win the next battles together as well, I'm sure. And after some vicious personal attacks from former Tory colleagues, Jamie, already both a district and county councillor in Epping Forest, joined us last year, and I was so very, very glad he did. Jamie is a brilliant councillor. He cares deeply for his local community. He's tremendously hard-working as a campaigner, and I'm certainly looking forward to helping him keep his seat as not only just the first Reform County Councillor in Essex, but the first of many. Jamie McIver, please come to the stage.
Good afternoon, Reformers! How are we all doing? What a fantastic day we've had. And what a packed venue. You know, this actually reminds me of the packed venue we had for the launch of the Epping Forest Reform Branch. Are there any Epping Forest Reformers in here? I'm so pleased you came. But on a serious note, this room is packed. And if I'm in northwest Essex here, then everybody at the back there, you must be in southwest Devon, I think, because there are so many of you. Now, Reformers, I am a pedigree reformer. I first voted, aged 18, to leave the European Union. And that surprised many people. I was a student at the Anglo-European school. Our school's logo was the EU flag, and I think it's my school's obsession with the European Union that made me look into it. And I looked into it like we all did, so much so I couldn't wait to leave it. Now, yes, my Brexit campaign got me into politics, and because my vote to leave was a vote for hope, for sovereignty, and to make sure our Parliament controls what the British people wants it to control, just like our borders. And we want those matters controlled without undemocratic interference. And when we talk about undemocratic interference, let me speak about that later when we talk about the May local election shambles. Now, our local councillors in all of our communities are vital components to the governing of our country. In fact, sometimes decisions made at a local level have more impact on some of the Whitehall decisions. And when we talk about Westminster politics, I'll get on to that as well. I have very little time for many of those politicians in Westminster, but isn't it fantastic that we have not one, not two, not three, but 5 Reform members of Parliament? And 3 of them sent from the people of the east of England, our region. So the more power we get from Whitehall to local councils, the better, in my opinion. And if devolution is delivered correctly, it could be the making of our local communities. And our job between now and May is to tell voters what a Reform councillor will do for them. So let me tell you what a Reform councillor does for the great people of Ongar and the villages who elected me. Well, I voted against a pay rise for councillors during a cost of living crisis. I voted against removing the rights for local councillors to vote on planning applications in their own ward. I know, ridiculous. I voted for a motion that would see an independent commission into value for money from Essex highways. Anyone been done by a pothole recently? Yeah, quite. I also voted for a motion calling on the government to think again when it comes to the cruel snatch of the winter fuel payment. You know, the Tories didn't vote for that motion. Why? because they said that their motion was better, it was stronger. But the truth is they just didn't want the Lib Dems to have the win. And I see this time and time again. People putting politics before people. People should always come first, Reform. And you may not believe that scenario, but it's all a matter, sadly, of public record. We have to put principles before party politics, and that's where Reform councillors will be unique. We will be a voice of independence, bound by the core values of our party, but not bound by ridiculous own goals. Now, these are just some of the activities in my council chamber, and you'll soon, many of you, many future councillors in this room will be seeing this unfold in your own council chambers soon. Now, I could talk for hours about how our small towns and villages are being overdeveloped and wrecked by inappropriate development, or about how multi-storey car parks are being used as an excuse to build swimming pools. I can see there are people from Epping laughing now. They know exactly what I'm talking about. But truth be told, we could also talk about how we have traffic wardens out in force on Christmas Eve. Or, of course, I did mention earlier how potholes sometimes can just take years to repair. But there's no point, Reform, talking about this because we're not a party planning to be in opposition. We're a party planning to take over our councils and be a party in administration. And whether it's the tendering for Tony and Darrell in Southend, myself and Essex County Council, we are just some of the first Reform councillors, the first of many to come. Now, Reformers, we cannot win these elections without you. We've heard a lot about this today, but it's very important. We need you to stand for election. Register. Register now. Don't think about it, just do it. Stand up for your community, serve your community, and we can help save Britain one council division and ward at a time. And, if becoming a local councillor isn't for you, there is so much more you can do. You can attend your branch meetings, you can go out canvassing and get our data, deliver our leaflets, speak to your local candidate, give them ideas, tell them what annoys you in this community, what you would do if you had the chance to be the candidate. Introduce your local candidate to everybody you know, from the pub landlords to the salon owners, to the restaurant owners, to the florist. Introduce your candidate. Now, there is going to be a wave of turquoise across the east of England. It is going to be a political tsunami. And we are going to knock on every single door. That is how we win. And I believe we can win, and you will be part of your candidate's journey. Just last month, we won a by-election in Kent with an 18-year-old being elected, Kieran, to serve the Milton Regis ward. Tom in Essex ran a fantastic campaign, and it has totally rattled the local establishment. And you can tell that from their tweets and the odd dirty look I might get in the council chamber. But I'm used to that. I've got plenty of antibodies. I've been in the Tory party for a decade. Now, the next generation are ready for reform. Now, speaking of the next generation, I want to tell you about somebody very special. Somebody I met in my Brentwood and Ongar branch. Reggie, in fact, Reggie, you're here, aren't you? Reggie, stand up a minute. Reggie, I'm sorry to embarrass you. You can blame your local councillor. Reggie is 14 years old and he's a reformer. But ladies and gentlemen, he's been given a detention at school for wearing his reform badge. That to me makes Reggie a legend. Reggie, mate, when they pick on you, they pick on all of us. I'll let you sit down. Now, reform councillors and councils will solve the challenges that impact our communities, such as the challenges we find in adult social care. Now, remember when the Tories stood on the steps of Downing Street promising to sort that for once and for all? We will sort the state of our roads for once and for all and fight to protect our greenbelt, not because we're a NIMBY party, but because we care about the historic character of our towns and villages, just like the beautiful Chipping Ongar. And we don't want them to become overdeveloped, elongated urban sprawls with no epicentre. Reform UK will also set out our stall to ensure that we solve the pressing problems that impact local government the most, and that, of course, is money. We can help balance the national books by tackling the cost of illegal immigration. It's time to deport those that come to this country illegally and those that come here, commit offences and are taking up space and resource in our prisons. This country is compassionate. The British people are compassionate. But the state of affairs at the moment is taking the mick out of the great British people. Consecutive governments of all colours have asked local governments to do more for less. And they're all ignoring the elephant in the room, which is the cost of illegal immigration that's having on our country. Just think, for every pound spent on illegal migrants in hotels, they could be spent fixing our adult social care problems by paying carers more for the incredible job that they do, investing in innovative care tech and AI. We could repair more potholes and even provide further financial support to the voluntary sector, which I see firsthand with my own eyes. We could not operate as communities without the voluntary sector. Why have we got Church of England roofs damaged and people having to invest all of their time to raise money to fix them when we are just throwing cash at people that haven't earned the value to have our taxes spent on them? They haven't contributed to our society like some of these faith groups have. We must change this. Now, part of our job as local councillors is to hold the police to account. And I don't know about you, but that's a big job in itself. I hate to say it, but it feels like on Christmas Eve you are more likely to get a parking ticket in Sainsbury's than you are to be arrested for shoplifting. It has to change. And if COVID taught us anything, and it taught us a lot of things, but it taught us that our councils are just prepared to spend money where it ought not to be spent. In Essex County Council were prepared to spend, and I'm going to quote, you won't believe this, £15,000 for a social media page with 200 followers. 200 followers. So I did some calculations, and Nigel, if you're in the room, I believe Essex County Council could offer you about £157 million for your social media, and that's far more than any other British politician I know. I mean, I'll offer you a score for it, mate, if you want to do a deal for cash. Oh, cash, do you remember cash? Something we used to use. That's got to change too. Now, more seriously, COVID taught us that our communities are stronger than ever. They are resilient, and the British spirit is alive and well, especially here in the east of England and in Essex. And for this reason, I believe we can and will win. Each local community is different, and our campaigns will be tailored to match the needs of our local communities, with the full knowledge that you are not just a council candidate, with the full knowledge as you knock on every single door, from the flats to the country lanes, you are part of a party that has got its national policy in order. Now, I'm lucky to be from Epping Forest, where the local Conservatives have made themselves as unpopular as possible. But Reform, we don't need to win because others are failing. We will just win because of all of you in this room. So, Reformers, if they choose to cancel our local elections, then so be it. Remember when Parliament refused to give the people a say? Unfortunately, for all those turkeys, they will never be able to stop Christmas. Christmas comes. And speaking of Christmas, Santa came. And he got me a pair of Hunter Wellies this year. And they definitely did me a turn at the matching green hunt. And it was when I was at the matching green hunt I learned of our 131,000th member and counting. And when I opened the box, I read this quote, and I'm going to share it with you because it actually reminded me of Reform. Hunter was born out of the British obsession to unearth something new, forged by the desire to discover. We take the path that others do not dare to take. Always evolving what it means to be British. And if you're born a pioneer, you're always living in an era of discovery. So, reformers, we've discovered who we are. We are now bigger than the Tories in membership and have all the momentum in British politics. So, reformers, as we do knock on every single door, I want you to help me right now. I want you to all stamp your feet. Come on, all stamp your feet. Because our boots, my Hunter Wellies, your boots are made for walking. Their boots are made for squeaking. Let them think they're clever squirming their way out of these local elections because reform, the message could not be clearer. Our boots are going to walk all over them. Thank you.
Time is ticking on, but our penultimate speaker is someone who is a true history maker. Not just once, not just twice, but 3 times. The first non-Labour MP elected for Ashfield since 1977. The first Reform UK MP in Parliament after joining us in March last year. And the first MP to be elected as Reform UK, with the Ashfield results being the first of our 5 to declare in that general election in July. Now, I love Lee's no-nonsense attitude. I love his work hard, play hard ethic. I love the fact that I'm not the only reformer now with a complex relationship with Sadiq Khan. But most of all, and this is what you'll hear right now, I love his passion for our country. Lee Anderson, come to the stage, please.
Thank you. I feel like I've done this before somewhere. Maybe it was last night in Leicester. Welcome, conference, and a happy new year to every single one of you. It is indeed a pleasure to stand here tonight. And a massive thank you to all of you for giving up your Saturday afternoon to come here to be with us in, where are we? Is it Shelbourne? Somewhere like that. I get mixed up. Look, I've got a New Year's resolution. I want to be on this year's honours list. I think I'm in with a chance. I want to be knighted. Let's face it, all I've got to do really in my constituency is increase crime, make sure the streets are unsafe, increase the amount of homelessness, and steal money off motorists. That's all I've got to do, and I'll get a knighthood. Oh, by the way, a massive congratulations this week for Mayor Khan, who's been knighted. Yes. Can we give him a big round of applause, please? Bit harsh. As you know, the Mayor of London and I are very good friends. And he is living proof that in politics, anything is possible. But let's not be too harsh on him, because he's one of the people that helped me be here today with you, the People's Army. You know what? In February last year, I made a few comments about the Mayor of London, which got me into a spot of bother with the Conservative Party. They took the whip away from me. Yeah. I was told I had to apologise. And I told them, there's no way I'm apologising to that man. He's given our city away. He's a disgrace and he should apologise. Now then, as soon as the Tory party took the side of Mayor Khan against me, I knew it was over. I knew there was no way back. And I also knew that Reform UK was my destiny. And I became Reform UK's first ever Member of Parliament. You can clap for that. Well, I'll tell you what, Conference, I never really envisaged a career in politics. I never thought I'd be an MP, yet in just a few years I was the Deputy Chairman of the Conservative Party, and now I am the Chief Whip and a Member of Parliament for Ashfield, which, by the way, is the capital of common sense. And I feel so proud. It's amazing. It's a truly amazing experience to be in this party. And I feel like I'm part of a truly amazing party that's captured the hearts and minds of people, millions of people all around the country, good people like you. These people, by the way, are true British patriots, but they're not far right. We are just decent, hard-working people who love our country and want to leave our country in a better state than when we arrived. Nothing wrong with that. I know there's huge pressure on us 5 Reform UK MPs in Parliament to take our country back, and that's what we're going to do. This is a battle, guys. It's a battle for the heart and soul of our great country. I love my country, and so does Reform UK, which is why we will never apologise for our history, our heritage or our culture. Yeah? Go on. My message is clear. If you do not want to embrace our way of life, if you do not like our history, our heritage, our culture, and respect our laws, then clear off. How does that grab you? All right. Parliament keeps trying to give our country away, and we must together fight back. This useless Labour government wants to take more money off all of us and give it to other countries or to people arriving here illegally. Look at net zero. What a load of nonsense that is. It will make every one of us in this room poorer and colder, and it will affect the poorest in our society the most. Our businesses are already paying the most expensive electricity prices in the world, which is costing jobs. Meanwhile, China is leading the world in renewables, yet still opening coal-fired power stations. It's madness. We're closing coal-fired furnaces so we can no longer make virgin steel. Utter madness. This government is quite happy for us to import steel goods from all around the world, made with fossil fuels, but we refuse to make these same goods in this country. This is hypocrisy. It is staggering, and it will bankrupt our country unless we stop this madness. Yeah, it's true. It's madness. Not a million miles from me is Drax Power Station in North Yorkshire. This produces electricity. It used to burn coal from the nearby coal mine. But in this country, we decided to close the coal mine. And in our quest for net zero, we're now chopping trees down in North America, turning them into wooden pellets. We put them on diesel guzzling cargo ships. We ship them over the Atlantic, put them on diesel guzzling trains, and then set fire to them in Drax Power Station to produce electricity. And we say that's renewable energy. We're actually chopping trees down to make electricity, yet at the same time we're telling our children they must plant more trees. You could not make this rubbish up, could you? This nonsense is costing us £2 million a day in subsidies, whilst we've got pensioners freezing to death because of their winter fuel allowance stopped by this wicked, cruel, horrible Labour government. It gets worse, guys. Mad Miliband. Yeah, it's crackers. He thinks it's a good idea to spaff away £8 billion on GB Energy. He also thinks it's a good idea to waste £11.6 billion on foreign climate aid. We at Reform UK say no. This nonsense must end. This is our money, and it needs to be spent in our country on British people. Over the past few years, over 150,000 illegal migrants have entered our country, and most of them are young men. They're not fleeing a war. There's no war in France. But ask yourself this. What kind of men, if there was a war, what kind of men would leave women and children behind? I do not want these illegal migrants in my country, and only Reform UK will end this madness. True. But I tell you what, this Labour government are doing the impossible. They're making things worse. Who knew? But look who we've got running the country now. We've got free gear Kia. Or never hear Kia. We've got Rachel from accounts. We've got the no-brainer, Angela Rayner. And let's not forget that net zero lunatic Mad Miliband. Hey, there's one more. Our very own mastermind, David Lammy. He's a proper charmer, isn't he? Great man. So here at Reform UK, it's a little bit different. We've got Nigel Farage. We've got Richard Tice. Rupert Lowe. These are all successful businessmen and successful politicians. We've got Zia Youssef, our chairman. Our new treasurer, Nick Candy. And these, again, are successful businessmen. They know what they're doing. We've also got... We've also got Elon Musk. And President Trump as friends of our Nigel. And what do the Labour Party have as their mouthpieces? Carol Vorderman and David Lammy. David Lammy. You know what? There's over 6,000 villages in this country. And if we took every village idiot out of the villages and put them all in Tottenham, David Lammy would still be the village idiot. That'll be on front at Guardian tomorrow. I have a breath. The grooming gang scandal has cast a dark shadow on our country. Should be ashamed, really. Thousands of young girls raped and abused in northern towns. Councils, police and politicians have turned a blind eye, and every single one of these people should be put behind bars. Just this week, conference, Labour's Jess Phillips has said no to a public inquiry into child sex abuse in Oldham. And you must ask yourself the question, why? I think we all know the reason why. It's the same reason that the councils, police, social workers, social services and politicians have turned a blind eye in the past. They're worried about votes. That's what they're worried about. Think about it. Young girls, vulnerable girls from broken homes, abused by gangs of men, and Labour refused to hold a public inquiry. They should hang their heads in shame. I could go on, guys, but have no fear, the Reform UK Rescue Party is here. We're going to do it. Let's cast our minds back to 12 months ago. We had less than 15,000 members. We was polling about 10%. We had no money. We had no members of Parliament. But now we've got nearly 170,000 members. We've got 5 MPs. We've got money in the bank. We've got a brilliant new chairman, a brilliant new treasurer. The brilliant Dame Andrea Jenkins is our mayoral candidate in Lincolnshire, which is true. Over 1,000 fully vetted council candidates for this year's local elections, which is amazing. But that's all been made possible, guys, because of you, the People's Army. So thank you very much for that. Yeah. But as our movement grows, so does the opposition. We've got opposition in the mainstream media. But have no fear. We've got our own social media. And GB News always gives us a good hearing as well. So thank God for that. You know, last year, if anybody went to the Birmingham conference, you might have seen me rip up my TV licence reminder live on stage. And I did the same last night in Leicester, so apologies, guys. I have, because the bully boys have been round again to the door, the BBC bully boys, posting their nonsense, and so I've not got one to rip up today. But I will say this to all of you, and I'm not encouraging you to get rid of your licence. That's up to you, that's a personal choice. But I'm not paying one single penny more to pay the pension for perverts like Hugh Edwards. Conference, we have a mountain to climb, but we have all the momentum. We've got local elections this year, then Scottish and Welsh elections next year, and we must take the fight to every single ballot box in our great country. We, the People's Army, can do this, but we must stick together. You need to help us sign up new members, raise money, help us deliver leaflets, help us on our way to the path to victory, and then you can tell your children and your grandchildren that you were part of a movement that took our country back. Thank you very much.
I now call the leader of Reform UK, Nigel Farage.
We are the new kids on the block. We have no experience in this Parliament whatsoever, even though some of us have tried many times over the years previously to get here. So we can't judge you from working in this place, but we can judge you from the way the outside world sees you. Believe me, folks, this is just the first step of something that is going to stun all of you. Thank you very much. Nobody on the front bench has ever worked in private business. Nobody on the front bench understands what genuine risk capital is. Hard work is the only way anybody succeeds individually, and hard work is the only way we're going to have a chance as a country to turn any of this around. We are in much deeper trouble than anybody on either front bench dares to admit. You know, for a Labour Party that couldn't define what a woman was, couldn't define what a working person was, well, after today I'm pretty convinced they can't define what economic growth is.
We believe that a society looks after its weak, but encourages everybody else to do the very best it can. We don't care about skin colour, we don't care about orientation, we care whether you share the values of this country. We care whether you obey the law, and we'll judge you on who you are. We'll judge you on who you are as a person. Isn't this what everybody wants? Is that what we're going to fight for? Can we make history? Are you going to be part of it? Thank you very, very much indeed. fantastic reception. Thank you very, very much indeed. Now, the energy, the enthusiasm, the optimism that has been generated by you supporting this political party is something we have not seen in British politics for decades. And I tell you something, this is only the very beginning of something that's going to be huge. Absolutely huge. Now, in the middle of December, I said to the team, right, I want to do 4 regional conferences. We want to do the East Midlands, we want to do the East, we want to do the South East and the North West. Let's get them in my diary. And we booked these venues, each of which seats 1,000 people, open to members only, and within 48 hours, every single one was full. Which means there are lots of members who couldn't get tickets to come today. And we apologise to them, but what we did last night, and what we're doing right now, is we are live streaming this on all of the social media platforms. Can you believe that at last night's Reform UK meeting in Leicester, over 900,000 people watched our live stream? Unbelievable. So I'm not just speaking to you guys in the room, I'm speaking to all of you at home who are watching this now. Huge numbers of you, many of whom have not yet joined Reform. But you'll see on the screen at the bottom how to do it. I urge you, come and join us. We're growing, we're booming, we're only 150 away from reaching an unbelievable 170,000 paid up members. Incredible. And it's been the most amazing few weeks. 50,000 people joined us in the last 2 weeks of the year. And a lot of our team have not had a Christmas break at all. We've been pushing on relentlessly. And I've been so overjoyed with it. It's been amazing. And yet, someone decided that they do their best to spoil it. A ranting, raving conspiracy theorist took to social media at about 5 o'clock on Boxing Day. They put out a 5-part tweet that was intemperate, contained misspellings, and false accusations that somehow I was behaving fraudulently and that the ticker, you know the ticker that shows the live number of members? I get up at 3 o'clock in the morning and check the ticker just to see how we're getting on. No, this ranting conspiracy theorist said that the ticker had been pre-programmed to go up and that our new members were fake. And the extraordinary thing is that these accusations were made by the leader of His Majesty's loyal opposition, one Kemi Badenoch. Now, it just so happens that today in this room, we are in North West Essex. We're in Kemi Badenoch's constituency right now as I speak. Now, I don't take kindly to being accused of being a fraudster. I've been called many things over the years, horrible things, and some of them true. But I am not dishonest. I never have been dishonest. I never will be dishonest. And I feel pretty offended by what she said. So the question has been, after I asked her to apologise, after we proved to mainstream media that our figures were correct, no apology has been forthcoming. So I've been deciding, what should I do about this? Sewer. To sue somebody, you have to prove actual harm. What she's done is given us a massive favour and thousands of new members. So, I've gone for a different approach, and on the 31st of this month, I'll be holding a meeting for the North West Essex members of Reform, and there's now 400 of them in this constituency. They can come along, meet me, they'll all get a free photograph, and I'll do a big group picture, which I'll send to the current MP for this seat, to show her who the fake members are. And Kemi, because you've been so rude, so unpleasant, the accusations you made against me are so wrong, I promise you, we as a party now will put time, money, resource. This will become a target seat for us at the next general election. Now, I said already, we're optimistic, we're bullish, we're upbeat, but we are also realistic. We realise just how much trouble this country is in. We are in societal decline. Our communities are breaking down. Our sense of the importance of family is being deliberately devalued. Our concept of nation, what it is, what it stands for today, what our forebears did to make it what it is, has been under direct attack from the educational establishment now for many, many years. And it's why when I decided to come back into the fray in early June this year, that I said we'd base this party on family, community and country, because they're the things that matter to me, they're the things that matter to you, that's what matters to most people in our country. But a remarkable thing is happening. The millennials, you know the ones, they don't like to work. They think the state can give them a living. They talk about work-life balance, work from home. Oh, the ticker. And the ticker says 170,000. Kemi, are you watching on the live stream? Did we deliberately fiddle it so that it happened during my speech? Did it, hell? It's happening, folks, because this party is on the march. That is perfect. And yet, despite all of that, there is a younger generation coming through, Gen Z as they're known, who are turning their backs on what left-wing teachers are telling them, who are now filled with new ambition and new hope. And you know something? They too are joining our party in their thousands every single week. And that's really exciting news. But I think they called it the grooming gangs scandal. It's not. It's the mass rape scandal on a scale that is difficult to imagine. Already over 50 towns and cities in which this happened have been identified. And who's to say the problem isn't even more acute than that? The worst of it is that at no point in time have we been told the whole truth. Little dribbles of news have come here and there over the years. We need a full, open,
national public inquiry so that everyone in Britain knows the truth about what happened. So that everybody in Britain understands that mass open-door immigration without assimilation is a complete cultural disaster for our country, and we're the only ones with the guts to stand up and say it. But what is even more shocking is the extent of the cover-up. The police willfully not doing their job. Social services deliberately not doing their job. Covers up by local councillors, local mayors. And yes, Jess Phillips the other week refusing a public inquiry, but, and here's the point, when Kemi Badenoch calls for a full public inquiry, has she forgotten that her own Conservative government refused that as well? And whether you look at the grooming gangs scandal, whether you look at the cost of living, particularly energy, that is being forced upon the people of this country by literally insane net zero policies, wherever you look at the scale of mass legal immigration into Britain, and I personally believe that a 10 million increase in the population in the last 20 years has devalued the lives of everybody in Britain, whether it's access to the health service, whether it's the availability of housing, whether it's infrastructure, and just literally trying to travel around the country on our roads. Our lives have been devalued by this population explosion. Whether it's the tax burden, and the Conservatives put up the tax burden to the highest since 1947, and under Rachel Reeves, goodness only knows, least of all her. And I must say, Lee Anderson, when he stood up in the House of Commons at PMQs and called her Rachel from accounts, I reckon Lee got it about right, don't you? And whether it's the illegal scam of 150,000 people, nearly all young, undocumented males coming into our country. And by the way, did you see today that if you're an illegal migrant in Britain, even if you've been refused asylum and you turn up at A&E, you will be seen within 15 minutes. We've engineered a situation where those that come here illegally, and some of whom who harbour thoughts that are going to be bad for our nation. In fact, I would even say what's happening in the Channel is a national security emergency and should be treated as such. And yet, they'll get housing, they'll get pocket money, they'll get 3 square meals a day and get to see a doctor within 15 minutes. Oh, and they also get free dental care. How many people here get free dental care? I bet not very many. But here's the point. All of these great problems that confront our country, it is frankly irrelevant whether we have a Labour or a Conservative government, because whatever Labour are doing now that you may object to, they're only continuing from what the Conservatives did and led us to in the last 14 years. This literally is the uni party. There is nothing to tell between them. And the only political party who genuinely believe that through leadership, through conviction, through courage, and having people with real world experience, yes, there are people in reform who've had jobs, can you believe it? We are the only people with the courage and the vision to turn this country around. And I'll tell you, I believe that in their millions, people in our great nation are waking up to that fact. Now,
The main reason for booking all of these meetings early in the year was to get our relatively new party ready for the May the 1st county council elections. And this part of the world, we've got some big targets. Cambridgeshire, Essex, Suffolk, Norfolk, I could go on. These are all county elections on May the 1st in which we can do incredibly well. In fact, I believe we can even win some of them. But now I hear dark rumours that maybe the elections will be cancelled this year. Now, I find this hard to believe, as only dictators cancel elections. But then, given Keir Starmer's tendencies, it perhaps wouldn't be as surprising as all that. And it would seem that the governing Conservatives in these counties are so afraid of reform that they would love to see these elections postponed for a year or two. I don't know what the outcome is going to be, but what I do know is we're building branches. What I do know is more and more good men and women are coming forward and putting their names down to stand for us at local government level, whatever tier that may be. We will continue with these events, with these meetings, with the vetting procedures, as if the elections are going to go ahead on May the 1st this year. If they don't, I will certainly be outraged at the suspension of our democratic process. But you know what? It'll give us even more time to professionalise further. And if we have to wait a year or two longer, we'll absolutely smash them to pieces when those elections come. And for all of this, I draw great inspiration from a friend of mine, political friend of mine. He happens to live 3,000 miles away. He's got a lovely house in Florida, you know. But I think what Trump has done, when you think what they did to him, you know, fake news, mainstream media, lawfare, all of those things, yet this very resilient, tough guy has come through it all and achieved a stunning victory in those elections in America on November the 5th. And of course, beside him, he's got Elon, who is a proper hero, who believes in free speech. And free speech doesn't mean you agree with every single word that everyone says, but it means you have a platform and the right to excuse it, which is maybe why Meta have finally got rid of Sir Nick Clegg, who did his best to damage free speech in his career there. If Elon Musk is able to cut back the size of the administrative state, he will do us in this country and us in this party the most enormous favour. The more money we take from the private sector, the more we damage enterprise, and the fewer people want to get involved in taking risk and setting up their own companies. And I'm alarmed, deeply alarmed, not just that the super rich are leaving our shores, but lots of 30-somethings have decided the business environment here is too difficult. The regulations are too great, and they're leaving for Australia, Dubai, America, Portugal, Italy. And we're putting more and more money into a public sector, which, whilst it may have many good people, gives us lower and lower productivity. The more money we put in, the less we get out. It's not working. We're being strangled as a country because we are in economic decline, and be in no doubt. And I know the biggest single factor for that is the exploding population. The more immigration goes up, the poorer individually we get in Britain. We can solve that. We can solve the immigration problem, but we have to sort out the returns we get of a National Health Service. We have to sort out what the Quangos do. We have to have the courage to take the knife to all of it. And I believe that Elon is going to set the mark. He's going to set the mark for all of us in America. I hope and pray that he does. And if he does, it'll give us absolutely the right ideas going ahead. We believe in our country. We believe in our people. We're proud of our past. We know who we are. But most important of all, we know where we need to go to get our country back to where it needs to be. You've all joined our party, and I'm grateful to you. But we need more, folks. We need you to do your bit. We need you, please, join your local branch. Get engaged. Get involved. Put some leaflets out in your street. Talk to people wherever you go. Whether it's the bingo hall, the golf club, the pub. The pub. I love the pub. Although not so much this month, because I'm having a rest. I'm doing dry January. Oh, God, I might get sacked as leader. I'm doing dry January, but if I get past the inauguration in Washington, that will be a miracle. But the point is, we need you out there evangelizing for us, encouraging people, making them realize if you vote reform, you will get reform. That if the silent majority speak, we can win the next general election, and we can. We're 50% up on vote share from where we were on the 4th of July. If we do the same again, we will win the next general election. So, are you ready? Are you ready to commit to helping us? Then please, when you leave here this afternoon, at the back of the room, you'll see tables for each of the counties that make up the East. Give them your name. They'll put you directly in touch with the local branch that has been set up there. If one hasn't been set up, please help us do it. And don't think that it's too difficult to stand for county council or district council or unitary authority or whatever it may be. We need men and women who believe in what they're doing, who believe in our nation, to stand up with us. So please, when you leave here, go to the relevant tables. Please sign up. Please help us. Thank you for coming along today. Thank you to the hundreds of thousands watching us on live stream. And come on, let's make 2025 the year we make Britain great again.